Hey guys! Now that the technical difficulties from the past few weeks seem to be resolved, it's time to get back to business. And I was gonna say it's time for another installment of our movie mistake series, but I actually think it's overdue at this point, so it's definitely time for another installment. So this week we'll be looking at the filming mistakes that found their way into the final cut of Season 3 of Charmed, starting with Season 3, Episode 1, The Honeymoon's Over. When Cole gives Phoebe his card, you can see it sticking out of the book in the initial scene, but in the next shot it's disappeared, and then it's back again. Magic Hour. In the beginning of the episode, Piper gets out of her car and shuts the door behind her, and when we see the newlyweds pass by, the car door is shut, but in the next shot, the door is open again, and Piper slams it shut when it should have already been shut. And then, also, something else I noticed about the scene is, do you see the house behind Piper? We've seen the layout of Prescott Street in plenty of shots before, so we know that this is definitely not what the view behind Piper should look like from the street. And then a few moments later, when Prue and Phoebe go to greet Piper, for a moment you can see a microphone enter the top of the shot near the ceiling. Once upon a time. When Piper leaves the club and the trolls trip her, she falls inside the spotlight while her belongings scatter outside of it, but in the next shot, they're right next to her inside the spotlight. All Halliwell's Eve. In the beginning of the episode, when Phoebe is talking about the appearance of witches in popular culture, she holds up the image of a witch riding a broom, which is initially facing towards the left of the screen, but in the next shot, the image is facing the opposite direction, which somehow I never noticed, even though I've watched this scene so many times because I love Prue's outfit. I don't know how I missed that. And then during the scene where Ava is teaching the sisters how to tap into the magic of All Hallows Eve, you can see in the background that Shannon must have had something on her face, and she and Holly use their masks to hide them, trying to get it off. Not really a mistake per se, but it's still really cute. And it's just a little thing, but I also noticed that Holly's line about tapping into their powers with dolls doesn't seem to match the movement of her mouth, so I'm thinking her original line was slightly different.
Dolls? We tap into our powers with dolls?
And then when Cole kills Micah, you can see Cole drop the dagger on the ground in front of him, but when he walks past Micah's body, you can see that the knife is much farther away than where it should have landed when Cole dropped it. Sight unseen. When Piper freezes Abby to save Prue, Abby is holding the gun straight at Prue, but in the next shot of Abby, she seems to be holding the gun at a different angle even though she's still frozen. Primrose Path. When Cole gives Prue his card, he writes his pager number on it even though the official number that's typed right above it is slightly different. And when Prue returns to Vinceris, the officer comes to the door and you can see that the chain is on, but in the next shot, the chain is off and Prue has to use telekinesis to keep him from being able to come in. Then when Phoebe suspects that Prue might have received the empath's power, she pinches Piper in the right shoulder to test her theory, but Prue reacts as if she's been pinched in her left when it should have been her right. And when the girls find Vinceris in the Book of Shadows, you can see the correct page in the close-up, but when the shot changes, you see that the book is open to a completely different page, even though Piper is still reading from the Vinceris entry.
Vinceris. Pretty much lives up to his gloss. Unstoppable hitman. Just keeps going till he gets his target.
And finally, when Prue is fighting Vinceris and flips over his head, she kicks the air in front of her and he reacts like he's been kicked in the head, even though there's clearly no way that kick would have touched him because Prue was facing the complete opposite direction. Power outage. In the beginning of the episode, when the girls are running a drill with Leo as Balthazar, he throws an energy ball at Piper which she freezes, but in the next shot it's disappeared. Sleuthing with the enemy. When Prue and Piper try to summon Balthazar but get Krell instead, he shoots a lightning bolt at them and hits the table, and before the shot cuts away, you can see the rig for the explosion effect through the hole in the table. Then when Krell hits Cole with a lightning bolt in the cemetery, you can see that what he lands on isn't the actual ground, but rather a safety mat that is covered in fake grass. Coyote Piper. When Piper, aka Tara, initially freezes Kirkin, his mouth is open in surprise at learning Tara possessed a charmed one, but in the next shot, his mouth is closed and his expression is different, even though he's still frozen. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. I had to. Okay, so in the beginning of the episode, Phoebe and Piper are sitting in a booth at P3, and Piper picks up a card off the seat beside her, and when Prue comes up to join them, the card is back on the seat, but when the scene cuts back to Piper, she's holding the card again. And when they all leave the booth, you can see that Piper left the card sitting on the seat, but in the next shot, she's holding it again and hands it to Prue. Then when they first find the ice cream truck, they pull the little girl out, and for a brief moment, you can see the stunt wires on the ends of her legs. And when the evil little kids blast everyone backwards in the alley, you can see their stunt wires as well. Blinded by the whitelighter. In the scene where the sisters are practicing for the fight with Ames, Piper is wearing olive-colored pants, but her stunt double is wearing black pants, not olive, which, odd. I don't know why they didn't just have the double wear the same pants, but, it's small potatoes. Wrestling with demons. When the first wrestler is pinned and the hole starts to open, in the initial shot the hole extends past his left hand and shoulders, so most of the top half of his body was already in the hole. But in the next shot, the hole is just starting to reach his neck, which it had already passed in the previous shot. Bride and gloom. When Phoebe and Piper set a trap for the evil priestess, Phoebe kicks her to the ground, and you can see that she is wearing flat-bottomed boots with a patterned tread. But when the shot cuts back to her, she is now wearing high-heeled boots with no tread at all. And during the same scene, the evil priestess initially drops a book to her left, but in the next shot it falls to her right, and when the scene cuts back to her, the book is now down past her feet, when moments before it had just been up near her head. The good, the bad, and the cursed. In the beginning of the episode, when Phoebe and Victor go to visit the ghost town, you can see what appears to be a water bottle sitting behind them on a porch. And when Cole first shows up at the manor, he has a slight beard and mustache, but once he and Prue shimmer to the town, he's clean shaven, and then he has the stubble again. And this isn't a mistake per se, it's just something I've always noticed in the scene that I thought was interesting. In the scene where Prue telekinetically throws Cole across the room, I really don't think Holly and Alyssa were told what was going to happen, or at least to some extent, because their reactions seem a little too genuine. Normally when they're acting, you can kind of tell that they're putting it on a little bit for the camera, but in this scene, you can see the moment that Holly catches something in her peripheral vision and instinctively jumps to move out of the way, while Alyssa is practically screaming, "What the?" which we never hear her do in scenes. I can't help but wonder if since Shannon directed the episode, if she was like, ooh, I have a good idea for a really genuine reaction. You guys with me? Whatever happened, I always enjoyed this scene. I think it was really funny and really well done.
Hey, Prue, long time. Is Phoebe home?
So moving on to just Harried, in the beginning of the episode, Phoebe and Prue are setting up for Piper's wedding, and once they have the arch in place, Prue checks the to-do list for the next task. But when Piper comes down, Prue isn't holding the to-do list anymore because the show reused the footage of Phoebe and Prue moving the arch, but in the next shot she's holding it again. Then when TJ drives out of the manor with Prue on his motorcycle, he turns left, which shouldn't even be possible given the fact that there are steps directly in front of the manor doors, and he shouldn't have even been able to get the bike up to the house in the first place, let alone drive out and turn left without falling down the stairs. Death takes a Halliwell. Okay, so there weren't actually any errors on the list of continuity errors or the Wikia page for this episode, but you know what? We have found at least one error in every episode thus far, and I wasn't about to break our streak, so I rewatched the episode and I think I found a couple. So in the beginning, Phoebe builds a sandcastle near the water, and in the close-up shots, you can see that the sandcastle is close to where the waves washed up on the beach. But in the wide shot, where Phoebe and Prue are walking away from the sandcastle, it's sand, not sand. What's wrong with me? Sandcastle. It appears to be too far back on the beach for the water to touch it at all. And then in the scene inside the mausoleum towards the end of the episode, Prue keeps her right hand up near her face the entire time Reese is being attacked, but in the shots that are from Piper and Phoebe's point of view, both hands are down by her sides instead of up by her face. Bewitched. In the scene where Graham takes a photo of the sisters, if you look at the bottom of Piper and Phoebe's section of the photo, you can see the white strip that aligns with the bottom of the frame so it will match the transition. Then later in the episode, when Graham tries to light the candle that was blown out by the wind, you can see that the flame doesn't actually take, but in the next shot, the candle is lit all the same. San Francisco. When Prue and Phoebe run into the man who's been infected by greed, Prue is holding her purse in her right hand, but when she leans down to check on him, you see her right hand and it's empty, but when she stands back up, she has the purse again. And in the same scene, Prue telekinetically moves the box of sin away from the man, and we see that it goes all the way to the other side of the street, but when the man goes after the box, it's now in the middle of the road, and that's how he, well, you know. Look both ways, my friends. Then when Lucas infects Dean, we can see that there are 2 balls in the box. But when he closes it after infecting Dean with anger, the box is now empty, when there should still be 1 ball left. The demon who came in from the cold. In the scene where Phoebe and Leo visit with Cole in the mausoleum, Cole puts his hand on Phoebe's cheek, but in the next shot, it's disappeared. Exit strategy. During the watermelon scene in the kitchen, Piper blasts the cupboards by accident and shatters glass, but later on when Jana grabs the ginger, the cupboards aren't damaged at all. And also during this scene, Prue is holding Piper's hands in one shot, and in the next, both of their hands are down by their sides, and then Prue is holding Piper's hands again. Then later, Jana puts a salve on Phoebe's scrape, but in the next shot when Phoebe hugs her, the salve has disappeared, and you just see the scrape again. Look who's barking. In the beginning of the episode, Phoebe is supposedly writing information about Cole in the Book of Shadows, but you can clearly see that the pen isn't anywhere near the paper and she's just writing in the air. Then in the scene where Piper blasts the radio by accident, the cassette area is damaged to the point where it appears to have melted in places, but in the next shot, the cassette area seems fine. And in the scene where the Banshee comes for Phoebe, the windows in the attic are shown blowing out twice. Then later on, when Prue turns back into a human, she holds her right hip as if it hurts, but when she got hit by the car as a dog, it was actually her left side that got hit, not her right. All hell breaks loose. In the scene where Piper and Prue walk into the conservatory after watching Dr. Griffiths out them on live TV, you can just see someone standing outside of the conservatory to the left. I think this might be the woman that plays Alice who's waiting for her cue to bust into the conservatory, since the outfit kind of looks similar. And then at the very end of the episode, when Prue calls out for Phoebe, who isn't supposed to be there, just a moment before the shot cuts away from the empty staircase, you can see Phoebe's hand move into the frame. Apparently, this is because the producers didn't want to waste resources on filming an empty staircase, which is odd. Like, it's a 5-second shot at best. Really don't think it's gonna break the bank, but what do I know? I'm not in show business. Anyway, those are all of the filming mistakes. I really like doing these videos. I mean, it not only gives me an excuse to rewatch Charmed, but I learn something new every time. Like, it's crazy to me that no matter how many times you watch a movie or an episode or read a book or something, there is always something new you find every time you watch or read it again. You know, it's so cool. It keeps things fresh, it keeps things fun, and I love learning about this stuff and sharing it with you guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye!